Welcome to RPG Elite, where we put the RP back into RPG, giving you tools and tips on how to make your RPG experience more immersive and enjoyable. Thank you for coming back to the channel, for those of you who are, and if this is your first time coming through, I want to welcome you. What we cover on this channel are classic RPGs, alternative genre RPGs, which means no fantasy here, folks. Got to go someplace else for that. No fantasy. And we also cover RPG Elite philosophy. The name isn't just there because it's something that I thought of from the top of the dome because I thought it was cool, and it doesn't really mean anything besides it being the name of the channel. There is a deep philosophy about what it means to be an RPG Elite, and we talk about that in depth on this channel. If you've been following me for a little while here, you know that recently I started a series on Gamma World, an OSR classic RPG, and I've been going in detail through the different systems, making different characters for the different editions. And some of you might be wondering, why? Why is he doing that? Understand, I will never ever make just empty content on this channel. There is a method to my madness. Let me give you the 3 reasons why I do such a deep dive into these systems. Number 1, it's going to inform you and your players, as a GM and your players, whether or not this is a game you want to invest time and money into. You can come to the videos, watch the videos, and then discuss them as a group. That's another good thing, because now all of you guys can discuss it as a group and be like, okay, do we want to play this game? What do we want to change? What will we change? And who's going to do the work to change it? Now it's a group effort. It's not just the GM doing everything. You don't just make a decision on whether to buy an RPG because, hey, it got a good review. You can't get into all of the different systems and stuff within a 15-minute review video. It can't happen like that. If you want to know exactly what you're getting into and whether or not even your players like the game, you GMs know what I'm talking about. You get excited about a game and you go out and you get it and be like, okay, we're going to play this game. And then nobody was interested in playing the game to begin with. Now you've just wasted money and you can't even find people to play the game. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So before you even get into all of that, I make these videos so you will go in with eyes wide open. So this is for you, folks. But another reason why I make these videos is to expose younger generation players to the older content that is just good. Some of it is different. And understand something. Just because it's older doesn't mean that it's worse. And just because it's new doesn't mean that it's better. I don't believe that people are still thinking in those terms. I'll give you a great example that just happened. A great example. I am playing this game right here. Am I pointing to it? Hold on. I'm going to get it right here. I'm playing the One Ring. We just started up our campaign again. This campaign's been going on for a while. Now, if you guys know anything, you guys know that 2nd edition just dropped. All right. So does it mean that the 2nd edition is better than the 1st edition? No, because there are some things in the 2nd edition I just will not use. I think that they're awful. And that's the new edition. And we're going to keep on the old edition because they did it better. So this is what we have to do as a group. And I've discussed this with my group. We do it as a group and we make decisions on whether or not we're going to use some of the old stuff or whether or not we're going to use some of the new stuff. But older doesn't mean bad or worse. And newer doesn't mean better. So you have to put this together as a group. And so some of you guys who don't know anything, I know a lot of people who badmouth the older systems and don't know nothing about them. How you badmouthing something you are clueless? First, find out about it. And this is what these videos are about. You can find out about the systems and then, hey, if you don't like it, then at least you know why you wouldn't like it, instead of just jumping on the bandwagon and saying things that are bad about older systems because you think that you have some corner on the new RPG systems because you think they're better, because you're biased and you haven't thought actually about it or have any experience with it. Let's not do that. Just go through my videos and then you can have an informed opinion at that point. But the third reason why I do these videos, nostalgia. Y'all know, hey, for those of us who are older, have been in this game for a while, thinking about these RPGs, thinking about these systems, being reminded, oh man, I forgot about that, you know? It's just nostalgia, and nostalgia is good. It makes you feel good, makes you think about all of the stories that you guys told within that RPG system or the fun that you had. So those are 3 reasons why I do these in-depth series, and will continue to do them. This is my first series, but trust me, I've got stuff planned way on down the line here. I mean, literally years worth of stuff, God willing, if I'm sticking around for that long. So that's the reason why I'm doing this series. And today we are going to get back into the Gamma World series. We're going to be looking at mutations. We're going to be looking at the stats for all of these things. What do all of them mean? Because that was introduced in the last video when we created a character with Tom. Now, if you haven't gone and seen that video, come on. Shame on you. What's wrong with you people? Right here. Go and watch this video and then come back here, and I'm going to explain some of the new things that were introduced as far as mutations and their stats and all the rest of that. We're going to be focusing on stats today in this video and what they mean. So strap in, get ready, let's go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, well, here we are, everyone, and back here in my PDF reader, and we are reading the 2nd edition of Gamma World. And if you remember from the 1st and 2nd edition videos that I did, and if you don't, you should go up and click the card and check those out as far as the character creation videos I did. But in 2nd edition, we introduced some things in Mutations. If you remember, the Mutations from 1st edition didn't have anything except the description, but now in the 2nd edition, they've added a few aspects, more than a few actually. And it's important to understand what each of those means before you make your character, so you know what these things mean if you're making a certain kind of character. So in this video, we're going to go through just the different aspects of those things that you would need to know as a player, also as a GM, but as a player specifically, because these are the things that are going to be on your character sheet, and understanding them is important. So let's go through the mutations first, because those special abilities and powers are the things that most people, when they make a humanoid or a mutated animal, they're going to want to know what it does and what it's about. So the first thing, and I've got a brand new 27-inch monitor, and so that's why it's kind of taking up the whole screen, which is what I wanted to do. So you get the full Monty right here. First thing is the name. Obviously, that is the name of the mutation. It gives you a hint on what the mutation does. Also, if it has a D next to it, I could scroll down a little bit. Right here, it says name, daylight, and then it has a D next to it right here. Okay. That means that it is a defect. Oh, there's the other one. I just saw another one. So that's important, because all of the mutations that are on the table that I gave you guys a glimpse at when I was making that character with Tom, they're not all good mutations. Some of them are defects. Some of the lower ones are defects, which is why you're supposed to add your constitution or your intelligence, depending on which table you roll in, physical or mental. So the first thing is your name. The second thing that we see right here is the range. Now you're going to have one of 4 designations here. You're going to have touch, which means that your character has to touch the target for the mutation to take effect. You're going to have body. That means that the mutation takes effect within the body of the one who owns the mutation. So the player character or whoever else. Mind, as it is in this case, because we'll be looking at absorption as kind of our example mutation. Mind means it takes effect only within the mind of the owner of the mutation. And then you have a specific distance, a specific verified distance. So here you have mind for absorption. On this one, you have touch. Another one that's touch. But this one here has a specific distance, 15 meters. And for those of you who are in the United States and you want to change that, it's 3.2 feet per meter, round it up or round down, or however you want to do it, or round it off, however you want to do it. So those are the 4 designations for range that you will have. But understanding the mind and the body and the touch, all that, that's relevant. Then you have duration. Duration is the amount of time that the mutation remains effective. You're going to have 3 designations possible here. One is variable, which is the one you see here. That means the duration varies depending on the circumstances and how the mutation is used or in how the mutation operates. That's normally noted within the effects or the description. Then you have constant. It means the mutation takes effect instantly or is always in effect. Talk about that in a minute. And specific. That means that it will have a specific time period that the mutation lasts. So this one is variable. Now, if we go down here, we'll have a duration here that's constant. And then if we can get another one to give us another example, we have this one here on beguiling, which means it lasts 60 seconds. That means that's going to last 6 turns because each turn is 10 seconds. So those are the 3 designations for duration that you're going to see in the game. The next one is the number. I like to call that targets, and I actually put targets up on my sheet that you guys saw last week. And this will have 3 designations. One is going to be self, like absorption here. It has self, and that just means only the mutated character can be affected. That's it. Then you have another one. This is variable. If you go over here to anti-life elites, it's variable. And what that means is that it's going to be a variable amount of characters or targets that can be affected. That normally, again, you have to go to your description to see how it works to know what it is. And then sometimes it has a specific number. Now, it's a rarity in this list here. It's usually either variable or self. But I'm going to try to find one that has like a specific number. Sometimes it's just one number. Oh, here's one right here. Confusion. 1. That's it. It only affects 1 target at a time. So that makes your life simple. All right, let's go back up here. Oops, went a little bit too far. And let's look at type. Now in type, you've got 2 categories here. So let's look at the first category. This is the nature of the mutation itself. So the nature of the mutation is going to be one of 3 things. It's either going to be a physical, a mental, or plant mutation. And then you have another category of it being conscious or unconscious. Now, conscious usually means that the character has to take a turn or an action to activate or complete using the mutation. Unconscious means that it's always on. There's no conscious action that needs to go. It's on all of the time. If you're looking at the type over here, each one of those categories has a designation. U, unconscious. C, conscious. M, mental. P, physical. And V means plant. Now, as you can see in this example for absorption, you can have a mental and a plant. That is doable. You can also have a physical and a plant. You'll see that on some of them as well, but you can't have a physical and a mental. There are none that I saw, but there might be one that I missed. but there's none that I saw. And they specifically say that a mutation can be a plant and a physical, it can be a plant and a mental, but it can't be mental and physical. And as you can see here, this one is unconscious. It's always on. So you don't have to think about it. It's just something that's always on. But when you get down here to actual metamorphosis, this one is conscious. You have to actually take an action, think about it to activate the mutation. And it's also a physical one. So some of them will have 3 and some will have 2. Just depends on the mutation. I keep going up too far. Let's go down to use. Now, use is how often the mutation can be used in a given amount of time. All right, let's take a look at this. So this one, you're going to have 3 designations. One is variable, which means that the mutation does not have a fixed amount of time that it can be used or a fixed number of times that it can be used. So it just depends on the conditions. And again, you'll find that in the description or the effects, which is right here underneath the mutation, it'll outline that and lay that out. But then you have constant. Now, constant means it could be used whenever the character wants to use it. And then there is a specific number of times on some of these where it could be used. And I'm going to go over, I know one is on this side, I think. And some of them have special conditions, like the berries mutation here. It says constant when it's in season. Obviously, this is a plant and is an unconscious thing. They grow berries because they're plants. They don't have to think about it. Here's one. Death field generation. The use is twice per day. Okay, that's it. So you use it twice a day, and then you got to wait another 24 hours from the time that you used it the day before you can use it again. The next thing that you have under use is damage. Now, it's going to be one of 2 things. It's either going to tell you the dice that you roll for the damage for the mutation, if it has it, actually 3 designations. It's going to say none because it doesn't do any damage, as this one here under density control doesn't do any damage. Or it's going to be variable, which again, in the description of the mutation, is going to tell you how that damage is applied from that mutation. So understanding all of those designations and how to read all of them, that's important. Now, the reason why this is important is because it just makes your character creation faster. If you know what all this stuff means and you're like, okay, and it makes your playing the character more fluid. I mean, if you don't know what none of this stuff means, and then you have to stop immersion in order to ask a question as far as what this particular aspect of this mutation does or what it means, then it just slows down gameplay. So understanding this is important for gameplay, and it's also important for immersion.
Well, there you have it, folks. Deep dive. Kinda, sorta. I don't know if it was a deep dive. It probably is. Lots of details. So there you have it. I'm gonna get out of here. Snagglepuss time. Exit. Stage left. And all together now, say it with me. Happy gaming.